Thank you so much, Wendy. So as you can see in front of you, we've got a lot to cover in this session. I probably will talk quite fast. If you've got questions, if you save them for the end, Wendy's here to make sure I cover them all, and any we miss, I can get back to you later with. It's a subject close to my heart, and I think as IT professionals, helping people move from that initial panic that happens when there's change through to productivity again afterwards is something that we're all very experienced at doing to other people. And certainly world events this year and the global pandemic have meant we've all had this really great reminder and immersive lesson in what it's like to experience that change. So what I want to do today is pull some of those things together for you and give you some frameworks to think about them in, so that you can use them to really enhance your leadership when you're leading changes in the future and when you're leading on projects going forward. I think as IT professionals, you have a fantastic opportunity to make a real difference in how people experience change and to make it a really constructive process, as the great systems and technologies that you're delivering, as we all try and work differently at the moment, to really make sure they land well with people and that they're embedded into how people work going forward. When I'm talking about leading in this context, I don't necessarily just mean people whose job title is leader. I think anywhere within an IT organisation, you have an opportunity to lead how people experience things and to show people the way and how things like change are done. So even if your title isn't leader yet, I hope you'll get a lot from this presentation. So what we're going to cover in a little bit more detail is we're going to look at how we all experience change. Then we're going to answer that great big so what question. What does that mean for us as managers and leaders? And how can we use what we know to help people move through that change process and come out the other side being really, really productive? We're going to spend just a whistle-stop tour through the skills that you're really going to need to lean on to make that happen. And then I am a coach. What I want for you from this is for you to have some things you can put into action. So I'm just going to take you through a few action planning steps right at the end. So, sorry. Fantastic. But I'd like you to try, not necessarily right now, and especially not if you're in a public place or on public transport or something, don't do this right now. But next time you go to put your socks on, I'd like you to try a little experiment for me. We habitually put the same sock on first each time we put on a pair of socks. So next time you put on socks, I'd like you to notice which one you put on first. The time after that, I'd like you to try putting the other sock on first and just notice how that feels. What most people tell me is that it feels really awkward, it feels really clunky, it feels really difficult. And actually, they had to think about putting their socks on, which is something that most days they don't do. And that's just a little snapshot of what it feels like to experience change and to see how good we are at doing it and whether it throws our day. I've had some people tell me it's made them feel a bit strange all day. I'm hoping it won't be that for you. But when we're faced with bigger changes and changes we don't control, that feeling is amplified. And even if you find the sock experiment easy, I'm sure if you think back to your experience of all the changes you and the people around you have had to deal with during the coronavirus pandemic, you'll have found moments where actually maybe you didn't think you were quite so good at dealing with change. And quite often through change, especially ones that are being imposed on us, it feels like we're not in control. And we're experiencing quite often changes, and certainly at the moment, we're experiencing changes at the same time as our team. We're right there in the middle of the storm with them. So we need to manage our own reactions as well as supporting them and how they manage theirs. The way I like to think of it is it's a bit like being a captain of a ship. You're all in the same vessel. The waves are coming at you in the same way, but one person has to lead the way and fill that leadership role. the challenge comes is that you know your team and you've probably built a great relationship with them. And that can mean that you find yourself walking a strange line between, am I leading right now or am I their friend? And the easiest way to stay on that line, I think, is to remember that when you're going through change, they have other friends, other people who are on the ship as well. But there is only one captain, and we need that one captain for us to all be moving in the right direction. I know a lot of you will be working in a matrix structure, and that'll make that analogy just a little bit less clear. But if you think about the senior team as the senior team on a much bigger ship than the one on this picture, you're part of that supporting the ultimate captain, the ultimate project lead in each of those matrix situations with that change, and you need to fill that leadership role as well as that friendship role. Now, let's look at what actually happens to us emotionally as we experience that change. You may have seen this before. It's the curve developed by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, who explored what happened to people during grief, and it's been found that actually the process is really similar. It's kind of, I always think of it as a lopsided smile. If we start on the left-hand side, when we first find out about change, we tend to deny it. Then we go through feeling really angry and cross about it. Then we hit kind of the doldrums at the bottom, the depression. Then we start exploring the change and what it can mean for us before we move on to acceptance. Now, that all looks quite calm and sensible in theory, but actually what we experience is something a bit more like this. We go shooting down the curve, we spin around quite a few times at the bottom, the line's all wobbly, and then it takes a while for us to gradually come out the other side. Now, if you're leading a team, that's what's happening for you, but each member in your team will have one of those squiggly lines. They won't all start at the same time. They won't all go up and down the roller coaster to the same depth. They won't go around the same amount of time, and they won't all come out the other side at the same time, which does mean we've got some challenges as we're leaders. And it leads me to a very important point. If we think about our teams when they're going through change, we need to be realistic about what's going to happen to their productivity. It is going to fall off in the short terms. It will sit around at the bottom and it will then gradually build back up. And it's important that we let it go through that process, but it's also important that when we're managing our teams, leading our teams and our projects, we're ready for that fluctuation in people's productivity. Now, there's a concept that can really help us move through this curve. Basically, at any one point in time, you have a choice about how you react to things. You can choose to avoid and abdicate what's going on. And at the start of a change program, that can be the right reaction for a short period of time. But if you keep waiting and hoping that that change will go away, that everything will go back to being the same, what will happen next is you'll start.
Hi there, I hope you enjoyed that last clip. My name is Michael Maludis, and if you'd like to watch the full 60 minutes of that last webcast, while also gaining complete unlimited access to our entire library of IT learning, simply visit our subscribe page at greatpro.org/subscribe. Unlimited annual access is $199 per year, but if you use the coupon code LEARN2EARN, you can drop that membership fee to just $149. That's less than $13 per month for unlimited access to over 1,000 hours of on-demand career development, covering the entire spectrum of IT management best practices, including business analysis and requirements, software development, quality and testing, risk management, process improvement, project management, and even digital transformation. But your membership doesn't just give you unlimited access to our vast learning library. You also get free access to our mobile app, as well as direct access to our network of over 300 of the world's leading IT consultants, all of whom are dedicated to putting practical knowledge at your fingertips so that you can learn more and earn more. I hope you will join me in becoming a member of the Great IT Professional and advancing your career with us. And if you're on YouTube, don't forget to hit that subscribe button above so that you get notified whenever we publish new free webcasts each week of the year. Thank you for your time and best wishes for your continued success.